welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Alana here. Welcome back to 3 Degrees of Love Divination. So, I throughout the holidays, I hope you guys had a wonderful holiday, by the way. Still enjoying it as we are, coming to a close of 2023. Moving into the new year of 2024. The last day of the year is 123, 123. So I guess a karmic reset, if you will. Hey, you never know. So, welcome back. If you're new here, thank you for joining. If you haven't, like, share, and subscribe. I hope you enjoy my content. And, I have, this wild idea of, sort of enhancing therapy, the idea of therapy and, self-reflection and healing, from trauma and stuff like that, and, seeking professional help, but enhancing that with, the use of divination and tarot, and how I've seen that as, as I further dive into my spirituality, giving my upbringing, my Catholic and Christian background, and my knowledge of, that I've gained from working in a Christian bookstore, and seeing a lot of the hypocrisies with that, and then being exposed because I live in such, I live in Canada, and I live in such a diverse country, that I've been exposed to various cultures my entire life. And with that, I've grown to be able to appreciate, the various cultures that exist within society, and so now at this time in my life, still carrying the same spirit of service and love and giving, and, being a service to my community and connection and things like that, humanity, really, and healing. And even as I have struggled with my own mental health concerns, in the last several years of my life, with, with the breakdown mentally that I ended up experiencing because of the lack of giving to myself. I burnt myself out, if you will, and I've had to sustain, mental and physical consequences, as a result. But anyway, all that aside, how I've come to work through these things is by leaning on even my knowledge and understanding, of mental health, and being an advocate, being, in the community, serving my community with various people, and that always being a thing for me. It's always been a passion of mine, right? Even, I worked retail, doing customer service, things like that. But anyway, all that, I digress. All that being aside, I've always had a love for cards, playing cards of all types, right? And so when when the opportunity came in, to be, unfortunately, forced to be isolated, and finding a method of practice, to invoke healing for myself, and, and how that's benefited me to date, and using that, being still a part of active therapy sessions on a weekly basis, and also while still trying to balance that and what I need to do for myself, and how I would still like to be in service of my community. Anyway, so in my last video, I started this series, as you guys know, therapy and tarot, and how, not as a replacement, not using divination as a form of introspection and into healing various aspects of my mental health that I've been struggling with, but also but using it in adjacent collaboration with my weekly therapy sessions, and and sort of combining what I'm learning in therapy plus what between my own knowledge and what I'm learning as I dive into various forms of divination, and so as I've been doing that, there's been several decks that have come about that I've come about that has really fit the scope, if you will, of what I would consider a therapy sort of adjacent deck, if you will. I'm at a loss for words right now to fully describe exactly what it is that I'm trying to say or to talk about, or what they mean. But okay, so like in my last video, if you haven't seen that, of course there's definitely going to be a link in the description, and you can always check that out on my channel. But I was talking about my Sober Pal, or Your Sober Pal. That's the name of the deck. This one is, who did this one again? This one is by Laura Van Antwerp and is published by Knock Knock Publishing. And the same sort of adjacent company, but it's the company's called E&M, or EM and Friends. I apologize, but yeah, and created by Barry Lee. This is another deck, a fun deck that I found that I feel like, kind of goes, as an affirmation deck, right? Anyway, okay, giving you the messages that you might need to hear for, on a daily basis or whatever. But what I really loved about, working with the decks at hand that I'm still actually kind of working with, as you can see there, is how they've sort of communicated with each other to give a larger expanding message. And the combination that I've been working with throughout the holiday season has been one that I think is is great for anyone who suffers with addiction, burnout and lack of routine, and unable to focus. It's the collaboration of all the decks together have been wonderful. But anyway, with that aside, I have one of the decks that I really want to talk about, because now I'm ready to put it away, recycle it out until another time, and work with another deck in my collection, moving forward. And so, but I want to give recognition and talk about the deck and how much I loved it, and why, if you will. So anyway, so this is the Citadel deck, published by Liminal 11, and is created by Fez Inkwright. And if you guys, those you guys in the tarot world know that, if you know Liminal 11, you know that the Citadel, really was actually, it came out in, this sort of, and I've said it before in the previous video, and I had a picture on the screen. But anyways, and that was part of a limited edition with the Seed and Sickle Oracle. Also created, also published by Liminal 11. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Fez Inkwright is still the author of that one too. I have it in my collection. I will double check that in editing. But yeah, anyways. So, and that's another really great deck too. Anyway, but yeah, so, and then of course there's as I said, anyway, check out the other video. I talk about the limited edition too, and how much, I would love to have, all versions of, anyway, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, back to the cards. So yeah, so they're all divided into the different elements. Here's, comes with a very chunky guidebook. And it comes with, so yeah, all broken up with all the elements. And basically this, I guess, if the story of the Citadel, it's like, it's a game as well, but these are all characters of a place called the Citadel, a city, if you will, right? And all the elements, so you have, earth, fire, water, air, which is, the same correlations as playing cards, in the minor arcana, and, anyway. Okay. For those of you that know, that, and each of the I guess, districts, if you will, of this city, and the four of them are the different elements, but they all have, I think, different names. Oops. And within them, there's so you have the court, and then, what the suit represents, and then, all of the different archetypes within it, right? Okay. That's how that is. And then, these are the cards. And there's so many walkthroughs, so I'm not really going to, do a walkthrough. I'm just really talking about, why I like the deck, and, and stuff. So, other than being, a collector of cards, as far as back as I can remember, especially, playing cards, mostly until I ventured down the road of tarot, but, and oracle and such. But, anyway, I've always had a love for, unique shapes and things like that too. So, and just even, the intricate detail of, the foiling and everything, right? It's really cool. But even with that, the understanding of the archetypes, right? And when we think about, so, when we think about like our emotions, and when we can name our emotions and separate our emotions from ourselves, and being able to really get to understand the different parts of ourselves and why we are the way we are, or we respond in a certain way by our choices. When we let our emotions choose rather than our rational mind, that's how we can fall into these karmic traps, karmic cycles, right? And how, for generations, that's how, we've sort of progressed, right? So, and that sort of understanding of that sort of, that wounding now, that traumatic wounding that, many of us, if not all of us, carry. And the earlier the wounding, sometimes the darker and the deeper, and stronger those shadow emotions can be, right? Anyways, but so, and so how that sort of, for me, ferment, when, as I learn I'm, understanding and being able to separate my emotions, and being able to, dive deeper, to understand them and why, right? Sort of connecting them to archetypes, right? And so that's why I like the concept of the Citadel, right? Because it gives you that, that imaginatory image to be able to separate and see your emotions as archetypes. And there's even one thing that I'm also learning, is that there is so when it, so when when we're doing like, healing work, and we were doing that introspection into ourselves, and why, we seem to keep repeating certain, karmic cycles again and again, right? I forget the name, but I will get the author, or the person who's behind the term, but saboteurs, right? So these are the sort of maybe the shadow archetypes, of ourselves that can keep us stuck and keep these sort of dark blockages from, from our growth, right? And expansion. So, yeah. So, so like I said, that's kind of how seeing the Citadel, right? And that idea of, being able to imagine things outside of yourself, right? So anyways, so yeah, so you have archetypes like the cartographer, and then we have keywords. So a crossroads, exploration, and of course, what is the summary of what is written in the guidebook about it. And there is a upright and reverse meaning, right? So here there's a champion, or the champion, and which is achievement and downfall. So, right? So I really like that, for that reason. Because I feel like this is a deck when, especially for like, shadow work, and like I said, when I talk about the saboteurs, right? And the person who came up with that term, or speaks about it most recently, that I learned from, I will put it up on the screen because I can't remember the name right now. But yeah, so being able to identify the saboteurs in your life, right? That originate within you because of karmic woundings and things like that. So here we have the sleeper, cause and effect, clarity, right? The archer, biding your time, planning ahead. The warrior, perfectionism, burnout, and so on and so forth, right? So, yeah, so I really enjoyed working with this deck, and like I said, how it sort of correlated with all the decks that I was working with at the time. I had this running for a bit, so there were other decks that I rotated out in the meantime and was working with this too as well. So, and how, like I said, how everything sort of speak with each other to, to give that, image and understanding of what I'm trying to, heal from or diving into at that, particular time. That is, something I really appreciated. So yeah. So this deck now is gonna get so the way like how I when I rotate things out and stuff, after I'm done using a deck, I then will my OCD thing. I do but with my cards I find it very therapeutic. But anyways, I put everything back into order. Not necessarily always the order that it would have originally come in, but in relatively book order, right? So if the book has like a system, like that, like, then yeah, or alphabetized or numeric, however, whatever the order is, I will put that back in order. And I spend time doing that. And then, so the one thing about Liminal 11, and the way that they publish their decks, pretty much with the same sort of idea box. Excuse me. With the exception of the Modern Witch, which does not have a flap. I wonder if they'll, redo it and put the flap on the box, but who knows. Anyway, so it's like, the 2-part box, and, my mind really intricate, weird, neurodivergent mind really enjoys the thing, the boxes like that. But so in previous boxes, they used to have, well, they all still kind of do, but they come with like, cardboard pieces that to fill and hold the cards, because the book is not always the same size as the cards. So what I usually do, because I don't usually like the extra cardboard, right? So, but I don't like my cards like jiggling like that. So what I do is, that's where I get the organza bag. Yes, I'm a nerd like this. I get the organza bag, and into the organza bag it goes. Oh yeah, and silly me, I actually do save sometimes. It depends. If it's a plastic band wrap that comes on the cards, I will keep that and reuse it and keep it on the cards until like it's not like because sometimes they do stretch out, and then at that point it's no point, right? So then I'll get rid of it. But until it, I usually save the little plastic thingy if it's savable, like I said. And then so then into the organza bag, whatever. Then put that in the box with the book, put it away, blah blah blah. So, but the other secret that I do have, that I do with, oops, where is the one for that one? Oh, okay. So what I do for my boxes that are like this, and even with the ones that that may not have a flap, but I still do it. So like when I put the organza bag, sometimes like the top, if it's, you know, there's a little bit, like once you pull the string, you put it in the box, it doesn't always sit flat, but because with the magnet on the limit 11 boxes it's pretty strong, that even though, and now too, because it's worked in the way that I, you know, when I store it flattens out better. But when I put it in the box, you know, sometimes you gotta push the box in just a little bit more and hold it before you close the flap in order for it to stay shut. But just to maximize the protection, I'm at local dollar store, Dollarama. I get these little, like, they're like these kid headband things, and they come like 3 in a pack with like clips and other hair ties, but I don't care, you know, but the rest of that stuff, it's just really this. I really like it because it's like an elastic with a bow, but it's like the perfect size to put around the boxes, and it holds it very well. So I usually do that, and then, like, you know, when I put everything away. And yes, I am a box and a bag girl. Yes. I am a nerd that way. Then I get a matching, you know, sort of satiny bag that I put the box in first. And then if, you know, and I haven't done these for all of my decks, but a lot of them are like this now because I've enjoyed doing them, and there's been quite a few decks that I've really much enjoyed working with, so I treasure them all. But anyways, so this is a handmade bag by the, I'll put the name of her Etsy store, Victoria. I think it's Victoria Morning. I think that's what the name is on Instagram and in her Etsy shop. And she creates these lovely handmade bags. And the way that she even does like multi-ribbon, I love how she does the multi-ribbon. And I have quite a few of her bags now. And they're all very unique, like, just not even just to say like the fabric, but like the detailing that, you know, that goes about into the sewing of these bags. So I really do enjoy them. And so I have this one to go with the Citadel. So let me know what you think. Do you have the Citadel? How are you enjoying it? And, you know, have you worked with any of the other decks by Fez and Crepe? And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Another one of you know, sort of holiday-ish therapy and tarot videos. Until I see you again, I am love, so are you. Take care of yourself and one another, and don't forget to live, listen, and learn. Love you. Bye. Gotta love, gotta love, gotta love, gotta love. Gotta love, gotta love, gotta love.
matter what people want.